The message came at midnight. Earth time, Admiral Park. Jisoo was sleeping in her quarters on the orbital station when the alarm pulled her from dreams of her grandmother's garden back in Busan. She had not seen Earth's surface in 3 years. She wondered if the cherry trees still bloomed in spring. The communication officer's voice shook as he spoke through the intercom. Admiral, you need to see this. It's from them. Jisoo knew who them meant. Every human who had traveled beyond the solar system knew about the Council of Stars. 12 ancient species who had ruled the galaxy for 40,000 years. They had been building empires while humans still lived in caves and feared the dark. She dressed quickly and walked to the command center. Captain Lee Minho was already there, his face pale under the blue lights of the displays. Around him, officers whispered to each other in worried voices. "Show me," Jisoo said. The message played on the main screen. The being who spoke was not like anything human. It had too many eyes and a mouth that opened in 3 directions. Its voice was cold and ancient, like wind blowing through a dead forest. Species designation: human. Origin: world, Earth. You have been summoned to appear before the Council of Stars. You will answer for your violations of galactic law. You will submit to judgment. Failure to appear will result in immediate cleansing of your territories. You have 30 standard cycles to comply. The message ended. Silence filled the room. Cleansen Minho said quietly. They mean extermination. They've done it before. The Velrothi, the Sunborn, the Iron Children. 17 species, all gone. Erased from existence because they broke rules they never knew existed. Jisoo stared at the frozen image of the alien creature. She was 52 years old. She had commanded ships in 3 wars. She had watched friends die in the cold vacuum of space. She had never learned how to be afraid. What are our crimes? She asked. Minho pulled up a list on his personal display. We expanded too fast. We colonized worlds they had marked for their own use. We developed weapons without their permission. We built ships they didn't approve. He laughed bitterly. We existed too loudly, Admiral. That's our real crime. One of the junior officers spoke up. Her name was Beak Hannah, and she was young enough to still believe in fairness. Can't we explain? Tell them we didn't know their rules. Maybe they'll understand. They don't want to understand, Jisoo said. They want to judge. They've been the most powerful beings in the galaxy for 40,000 years. They've forgotten how to listen. They only know how to command. She turned to face her crew. These were good people. Brave people. They had left their homes and families to explore the stars. They deserved better than to be erased by ancient beings who saw them as insects. How many ships do they have? She asked. Conservative estimate? 3,000 warships within striking distance of our core systems. Each one bigger and more advanced than anything we've built. Minho's voice was flat. He was a soldier. He understood numbers. We have maybe 200 ships that could fight. We'd lose in hours. Then we don't fight, Jisoo said. Not directly. She walked to the window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, beyond the familiar lights of human space, the elder races waited. They had lived so long that they thought they knew everything. They had grown so powerful that they thought nothing could surprise them. They were wrong. Contact Dr. Kim Yuna at the Europa Research Station, Jisoo ordered. Tell her the schedule has moved up. We need the project ready in 20 cycles. Minho's eyes widened. The Dark Matter project? Admiral, it's still experimental. We've only tested it on small probes. We don't even know if it's safe for crewed vessels. And we find out. Jisoo turned back to face him. Humanity has survived ice ages, plagues, and wars. We survived because we adapted. Because we found ways to live when everything said we should die. We're not going to let a council of ancient aliens tell us our story is over. The next weeks were filled with frantic work. Ships flew back and forth between Earth and Europa, carrying equipment and personnel. Messages flew through secure channels that the elder races couldn't intercept. All across human space, people worked toward a single goal. Dr. Kim Yuna barely slept. She was the brightest mind humanity had ever produced. And she had spent 15 years studying something the rest of the galaxy had ignored: dark matter, the invisible substance that made up most of the universe, the shadow that held galaxies together. While the elder races built their empires on light and energy, Yuna had found a way to touch the darkness. The theory is simple, she explained to Jisoo during one of the Admiral's visits to Europa. Dark matter doesn't interact with normal matter. It passes through everything. But we found a way to slip into it, to exist in that space between spaces. Can you build ships that work on this principle? Yuna smiled. It was the tired smile of someone who had already done the impossible. We've already built 27 of them. They're hidden in the asteroid fields, Admiral, waiting. When they activate their drives, they become invisible, not just to sensors, to everything. They exist in a dimension the elder races have never found. Jisoo felt something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. When can they be ready? Give me 15 cycles. I'll give you a fleet of ghosts. On the day of departure, Jisoo stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Eternal Dawn. It was a good ship, but it was old and small compared to the vessels of the elder races. It would look weak and pathetic when it arrived at the council chamber. That was the plan, Captain. Minho stood beside her as the stars stretched and blurred. They were jumping to council space. They were walking into the den of beings who wanted them dead. Are you afraid? Minho asked. Jisoo thought about her grandmother, who had survived wars and famines and loss. She thought about all the humans who had come before her, fighting against impossible odds, refusing to give up. I'm angry, she said. They've decided we don't deserve to exist. They've never met us, never spoken to us, never tried to understand us. They just want to erase us like we're a mistake. She looked at the stars streaming past. I'm going to show them what a mistake really looks like. The Eternal Dawn flew toward its destiny, small and alone. But in the darkness behind it, hidden in the spaces between reality, 27 ships followed in silence, waiting for their moment to emerge. The shipyards of Europa floated above the frozen moon like metal flowers. Steam rose from the ice below, where heat from the construction melted ancient glaciers. Workers moved through zero gravity, welding plates and connecting wires to ships that should not exist. Commander Choi Yoonji walked through the main hangar, checking each vessel with her own eyes. She did not trust reports. She trusted what she could see and touch and verify. 27 ships, each one a miracle of human science. Each one invisible to every sensor the galaxy had ever built. She stopped before the largest ship, the Silent Thunder. Its hull was black, but not the black of paint. It was the black of emptiness, of the void between stars. Looking at it made her eyes hurt, like staring at a hole in reality. Beautiful, isn't she? Dr. Kim Yuna appeared beside her, holding a tablet covered in numbers and diagrams. The scientist looked exhausted. Dark circles surrounded her eyes, and her hair had not been washed in days. But she was smiling. Beautiful is not the word I would use, Youngji said. Terrifying, maybe. Impossible. Those are better words. Yuna tapped her tablet. The elder races have been traveling through space for 40,000 years. They've mastered hyperspace jumps, wormhole creation, and dimensional folding. They think they understand the universe. She pointed at the Silent Thunder. They've been ignoring 27% of it. Dark matter surrounds everything, passes through everything, connects everything. But because they couldn't see it or touch it, they decided it wasn't important. They built their entire civilization on the parts of the universe they could measure. Yunji nodded slowly. And we found a way to hide in the parts they ignored. Not just hide. Yuna's smile grew wider. Move, strike, disappear. These ships don't travel through normal space. They slip into the dark matter layer and swim through it like fish through water. To anyone watching from normal space, they simply don't exist. Lieutenant B. Kanna approached them, saluting quickly. The young officer had been transferred to the Dark Matter Project 3 months ago. She was one of the few people who understood both the technology and its purpose. Commander, all vessels report ready. Crews are aboard, and systems are activated. We're waiting for Admiral Jisoo's signal. Yanji looked at the ships surrounding her. 27 vessels, crewed by volunteers who knew they might never return. Each ship held 100 people. 2,700 souls, ready to follow her into the unknown. Do they understand what we're doing? Yunji asked. They understand that if we fail, humanity dies, Hannah said. That's enough motivation. Yunji thought about her own family. Her parents still lived in Seoul in the same apartment where she had grown up. Her younger brother worked in the lunar mines. Her sister taught children at a school in the Mars colonies. If the Council decided to cleanse humanity, they would all be gone. Every person she loved, every memory, every hope. She would not let that happen. Tell the crews to begin final preparations, Yunji ordered. We launch in 6 hours. The next hours passed quickly. Engineers ran last tests on the dark matter drives. Weapons officers checked targeting systems that could fire from dimensions the enemy couldn't perceive. Medical teams prepared for injuries that might come from technologies. No one fully understood. Yonji spent the time walking through her ship, meeting the people who would fight beside her. She found them in the mess hall, in the engineering rooms, in the small chapels where some prayed to gods they hoped were listening. Young pilot named Kong Do-yan stopped her in a corridor. He was barely 23, with a face that still looked like a child's. Commander, can I ask you something? Go ahead. Do you think we'll win? Honestly. Yunji considered the question. She could lie. She could give him hope built on empty words. But she had never been good at lying. Think we'll surprise them, she said. The elder races have never fought anything they couldn't see coming. They've never faced an enemy that could strike from nowhere and vanish without trace. They don't know what fear feels like anymore. She put her hand on his shoulder. We're going to remind them. At the designated hour, Yonji stood on the bridge of the Silent Thunder. The view screen showed the other 26 ships floating in formation, dark shapes against the stars. They looked like shadows given form. All ships report ready, Hannah announced. Dark matter drives are activated. We're prepared to phase shift on your command. Yunji took a deep breath. This was the moment. Once they crossed into the dark matter dimension, there was no certainty they would return. The technology was new. The risks were unknown. They might disappear forever, but doing nothing meant certain death. At least this way, they had a chance. Admiral Jisoo has left for the council station, the communications officer reported. She's traveling alone as planned. The council has surrounded her ship with 3,000 warships. They believe she's helpless. They believe wrong. Yonji sat in her command chair. All ships, this is Commander Choi. We are about to do something no one has ever done before. We are going to travel through the darkness that holds the universe together. We are going to emerge where our enemies least expect us. And we are going to show the galaxy that humanity is not prey. She paused, letting her words sink in. We have been watching the stars our entire existence, dreaming of what lay beyond. The elder races see us as children, too young and weak to matter. They forget that children grow up. They forget that the small and weak have to be clever to survive. She looked at the stars one last time. Let's show them what humans do when we're backed into a corner. Phase shift in 3, 2, 1. The universe twisted. Light bent in ways it should not bend. The Silent Thunder and its sister ships slipped sideways, falling through reality into something else entirely. For a moment, there was nothing. No stars, no light, no sound. Only darkness, pure and complete, surrounding them like an ocean. Then the sensors flickered to life, showing a different kind of space. A space made of invisible matter and hidden forces. A space where 27 human ships moved like ghosts. Following a path toward the council station, the dark matter fleet had been born. Behind them, normal space continued, as if they had never existed. Their ships left no trace, no energy signature, no hint that they had ever been real. To the sensors of the elder races, to the all-seeing eyes of the council, the dark matter fleet was nothing. Nothing at all, and that was exactly what humanity needed them to be. The council station was older than human civilization. It had been built when the first humans were learning to make fire. It had watched species rise and fall like waves on an endless ocean. Its metal halls had seen 1,000 judgments. Most of them ended in death. Admiral Park Jisoo walked through those halls alone. Her boots echoed on floors that had been polished smooth by millions of feet belonging to creatures unlike anything on Earth. Strange lights floated in the air above her. Watching, recording. Every step she took was being observed by beings who had already decided her. Species should die. She kept her back straight and her face calm. She would not give them the satisfaction of seeing fear. The council chamber was a vast circular room. 12 thrones rose around its edges, each one designed for a different kind of body. Some held beings made of crystal. Others contained creatures of flowing metal or living shadow. One throne was filled with what looked like a small sun, burning with cold fire. In the center of the room, there was a single empty circle. The place where the accused stood. The place where 17 species had stood before being erased from existence. Jisoo walked to that circle and stopped. She was small here, weak, human, everything the council despised. Good, let them underestimate her. The Prime Arbiter spoke first. It was the oldest being in the council, a creature whose species had no name that human mouths could say. It floated in the air, a mass of eyes and tendrils that pulsed with ancient light. You are the representative of the human species. I am Admiral Park Jisoo of the United Human Territories. I speak for my people. You speak for the condemned. The Arbiter's voice was like 1,000 whispers layered together. Your species has been judged. The verdict has been decided. We have summoned you only to hear the sentence. Jisoo felt anger rise in her chest, but she kept her voice steady. You judged us without hearing our defense. That is not justice. Justice is what we decide it is. The crystal being to her left spoke, its body ringing like bells. Its name was Prism, and it represented the Velith Dominion. We have maintained order in this galaxy for 40,000 years. Your kind has existed for barely 300 years as a spacefaring species. You are infants. You do not get to question us. Infants who built their own ships, Jisoo said. Infants who crossed the stars without your help. Infants who learned to survive in a galaxy that never wanted them. Survival is not enough. The metal creature called Gravmore shifted on its throne, plates clicking against each other. You expanded without permission. You took worlds we had marked for seeding. You developed weapons without oversight. You are a danger to the order we have maintained. What order? Jisoo allowed some heat into her voice. You divide the galaxy between yourselves and destroy anyone who doesn't fit into your plans. That's not order. That's fear. You're afraid of anything you can't control. Silence fell over the chamber. The council members looked at each other, confused. No accused species had ever spoken to them this way. They had always begged, always pleaded, always asked for mercy that never came. The Arbiter floated closer to Jisoo. Its many eyes studied her face. You are brave, little creature. Brave and foolish. Outside this station, 3,000 of our warships surround your single vessel. Your crew of 200 faces, weapons that could shatter moons. You have no leverage, no power. Nothing but words. Jisoo smiled. It was not a friendly expression. Are you certain about that? We are certain of everything. We have watched your species since you first left your home system. We know your military strength, your technology, your limitations. You cannot surprise us. You know what we wanted you to know? Jisoo clasped her hands behind her back. You've been watching us for 300 years. But you've only been watching the parts of us we let you see. You've been watching the light. Speak plainly, human. Very well. Jisoo looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of each council member in turn. You built your civilizations on what you could measure and detect. Energy signatures, mass readings, radiation patterns. You became masters of everything you could see. She paused. But you never asked what you couldn't see. You never wondered about the darkness between the stars, the matter that holds galaxies together but never interacts with light. 27% of the universe ignored because you couldn't sense it. Prism made a sound like cracking ice. Dark matter is a mathematical abstraction. It has no practical application. It has one application you never considered. Jisu's smile grew wider. Hiding. She tapped a small device on her wrist. A signal traveled outward, passing through dimensions the Council didn't know existed. You say 3,000 ships surround my vessel. Count again. On the view screens that lined the chamber walls, the image of space shifted. The Eternal Dawn hung small and alone, surrounded by the massive warships of the Council. The numbers were displayed clearly, 3,412 ships. Then the number changed, 3,439. What? Gravmer's voice was shocked. Where did those ships come from? Our sensors show nothing. That's the point. Jisu's voice was calm. Your sensors will never show them. They exist in spaces you never learned to look. They move through dimensions you never discovered. They've been following me since I left human space, and you had no idea they were there. The view screen flickered. 27 shapes materialized from empty space, black as void, impossible to focus on. They had not jumped into normal space. They had simply emerged, like shadows stepping from darkness into light. This is the dark matter fleet of humanity, Jisu said. And I promise you what you're seeing now is just a fraction of what we've built in the darkness you ignored. The council chamber fell silent. For the first time in 40,000 years, the elder races had nothing to say. They had believed themselves the masters of the universe. They had thought nothing could surprise them. They had forgotten that the universe was mostly darkness, and humanity had learned to live in the dark long ago. Jisu stood in the center of the chamber, small and human and utterly unafraid. Behind her, on the screens, her ghost fleet waited, patient, invisible to anything the council could build. She said, "Shall we discuss the terms of our coexistence?" Commander Choi Yoonji watched the chaos unfold from the bridge of the Silent Thunder. The council's communication channels exploded with panicked voices. Ship commanders demanded information from sensor officers who had nothing to give. Ancient protocols, meant for impossible situations, were activated for the first time in millennia. The elder races were afraid. Yoonji could taste it in their transmissions. Maintain position, she ordered her fleet. Weapons powered but not locked. We show strength, not aggression. Lieutenant B. Kanna worked at her station, monitoring the enemy fleet. They're trying to scan us again. Different frequencies, different methods. Nothing is working. To their instruments, we're holes in space. Let them try. Youngji leaned forward in her chair. Every failed scan tells them how helpless they are. On the council station, the situation was evolving. Yoonji watched through a feed from Admiral Jisu's personal camera as the elder beings argued among themselves. Their voices overlapped in languages that human ears could barely process. This is a trick. Prism's crystalline body flashed with angry colors. Holographic projection. Sensor manipulation. The humans cannot have developed technology we don't understand. We have studied their civilization. They are primitive. Then explain what we're seeing. The Arbiter's many eyes focused on the view screen. Explain how 27 ships appeared from nothing. Explain why every attempt to scan them returns null data. Explain how a species you called primitive is doing something none of us can comprehend. Admiral Jisu spoke into the silence. You've studied what we showed you. The ships we built in the open. The technology we didn't bother to hide. You saw what you expected to see, and you stopped looking. You deceived us. No, you deceived yourselves. You assumed you knew everything. You assumed no younger species could discover something you had missed. Your arrogance blinded you. Gravemore's metallic form shifted and groaned. Even if your ships are real, even if they can hide from our sensors, you cannot defeat 3,000 warships. You are still outnumbered. You are still outgunned. Jisu's response was immediate. Commander Choi, please demonstrate capability Alpha 7. Yoonji smiled. With pleasure, Admiral. She turned to her weapons officer, a steady woman named Yoon Sora. Target the Arbiter's flagship. Do not fire. Just lock targeting systems. Sora's hands moved across her console. Targeting locked. On the council view screens, A single red dot appeared on the hull of the Arbiter's massive ship. It had come from nowhere. None of their defensive systems had detected the targeting beam. None of their shields had activated. How? The Arbiter's voice held something it had not contained in eons' fear. We detected nothing. No energy signature. No targeting beam. Nothing. Our weapons operate on the same principles as our ships, Jisoo explained calmly. They fire from dimensions you cannot see. By the time you detect the attack, it has already happened. Your shields are designed to stop weapons you understand. They're useless against us. Commander Yoonji ordered the targeting lock removed. The red dot vanished from the Arbiter's hull. That was a warning, she said over the open channel. We could have fired. We chose not to. Remember that when you make your decision? Council fell into shocked whispers. Yoonji watched them carefully. She had studied the elder races for years, learning their histories, their psychologies, their weaknesses. They had been dominant for so long that they had forgotten what it felt like to be vulnerable. They had forgotten the fear that comes when you realize something stronger is watching you from the dark. Humans had never forgotten that fear. It was written into their genes. It's carved by 1,000,000 years of evolution on a planet where they were never the biggest or fastest or strongest. They had survived by being clever, by hiding, by striking from shadows. Now they were teaching the elder races the same lesson Earth's predators had taught humanity so long ago. You have weapons we cannot defend against, the Arbiter said slowly. Ships we cannot detect. Technology we do not understand. What do you want from us? Admiral Jisoo clasped her hands behind her back. We want to live. We want to grow. We want to explore the galaxy without asking permission from beings who see us as insects to be stepped on. And if we refuse, then these 27 ships will return to human space. They will disappear into the dark matter dimension, and you will never know where they are or when they might emerge. Every one of your stations, your planets, your ships will spend eternity wondering if human weapons are aimed at them from spaces they cannot perceive. Yeonji felt pride swell in her chest. Jisoo was not threatening war. She was threatening something worse. Eternal uncertainty. The elder races could not fight an enemy they could not find. They could not defend against weapons that existed outside their reality. Every moment, for the rest of their long lives, they would fear the darkness. You would condemn us to paranoia, Prism whispered. To living in constant fear of attack from nowhere? Yes. Jisoo's voice was hard. That's what you've done to every younger species for 40,000 years. You've hung the threat of extinction over anyone who didn't bow to you. You made fear your weapon. Now you get to experience how it feels. The council members looked at each other. Ancient alliances shifted in those glances. Calculations made over millennia were being revised. The universe had changed in a single day, and they had to decide how to respond. Commander Yoonji watched and waited. Her ships floated silent and invisible around the council station, ghosts in the machinery of galactic power. Her crew barely breathed. This was the moment. Everything humanity had worked for came down to what the elder races decided next. The Arbiter floated toward Admiral Jisoo, its many eyes studying her small human form. You're not what we expected, it said finally. No, Jisoo agreed. We never are. Silence stretched through the chamber. Outside, in the cold void, the dark matter fleet waited in the shadows, ready to fight. Ready to disappear? Ready to do whatever was necessary to ensure humanity's survival? The universe held its breath. The council debated for 17 standard hours. Admiral Park Jisoo was given quarters on the station, a small room with a bed she did not use. She spent the time standing at the window, watching the stars and the ships that surrounded them. Captain Lee Minho contacted her through a secure channel. How are you, Admiral? Tired, hopeful, afraid? She smiled at her own honesty, all at the same time. The crew wants you to know they're proud of you. Whatever happens next, you stood in front of beings who wanted to destroy us, and you didn't blink. I blinked plenty. I just didn't let them see it. Outside her window, the dark matter fleet remained visible. Commander Yoonji had decided to keep them in normal space, a constant reminder of human capability. The Council's sensors still reported nothing in those locations. Ships that existed to their eyes, but not to their instruments. It's impossible. Terrifying. When the summons finally came, Jisoo walked back to the council chamber with steady steps. The 12 thrones were occupied again, but the atmosphere had changed. The arrogance was gone. The certainty had shattered. The Prime Arbiter spoke first, as was tradition. The Council of Stars has deliberated. We have examined your claims, observed your fleet, and assessed the new reality we face. Jisoo waited. For 40,000 years, we have maintained order through dominance. We believed that power gave us the right to rule. We believed that age gave us wisdom no younger species could possess. The Arbiter's many eyes dimmed slightly. We were wrong. The words hung in the air. Across the galaxy, beings who had never heard those words from an elder race listened in stunned silence. The Council of Stars admitting error. It had never happened before. Gravmore continued where the Arbiters stopped. You have developed technology beyond our understanding. You have hidden capabilities from our observation. You have proven that youth does not mean weakness, and that what we cannot see can still hurt us. Prism chimed in, its crystalline voice softer than before. More importantly, you had the power to strike at us without warning, and you chose to talk instead. You showed restraint when you had every right to show anger. That speaks to character we did not expect. Jisoo allowed herself to breathe. We don't want war. We never wanted war. We just want it to be allowed to exist, and you shall. The Arbiter floated closer. The Council of Stars formally recognizes the United Human Territories as a sovereign power. Your expansion rights within the sectors you currently occupy are acknowledged. Your technological development will not be restricted or monitored. What about the species you've destroyed before? Jisoo asked. What about the 17 civilizations you erased? Silence fell. Some council members shifted uncomfortably. It cannot be brought back, the Arbiter said finally. Their worlds remain empty. Their stars still burn. Perhaps in time, new species will rise to fill those spaces. And perhaps we will not be so quick to judge them. It was not justice. It was not enough. But it was a beginning. Commander Choi Yoonji listened to the proceedings from the bridge of the Silent Thunder. Around her, the crew cheered as the recognition was announced. 2,700 humans celebrating in 27 ghost ships. Ghosts visible to the universe, but very much alive. Lieutenant Bikana wiped tears from her eyes. We did it. We actually did it. We survived, Yeonji corrected. That's what humans do. We survive. She thought about the young pilot, Kang Do-yeon, who had asked her if they would win. She made a mental note to find him later. To tell him that sometimes winning just means not losing. On the station, Admiral Jisoo concluded the negotiations. Trade agreements would be discussed. Diplomatic channels would be opened. Humanity would send ambassadors to Council space. And Council observers would be welcomed in human territory. But the real negotiation was simpler than all. Of that, the elder races had learned to fear the dark as Jisoo walked back to the eternal dawn. The Arbiter floated beside her. It was strange, walking with a being older than human civilization, a creature who had watched species rise and fall like seasons. May I ask you something, Admiral? Of course, why dark matter? Of all the secrets of the universe, why did your species choose to explore that one? Jisoo considered the question, because we knew what it felt like to be invisible. For most of our history, we were small and weak. The universe didn't notice us. The galaxy didn't care about us. We learned to use that, to hide when we needed to strike from shadows when we had to. She looked up at the Arbiter's many eyes. I saw the darkness as empty, useless. We saw it as home. The Arbiter made a sound that might have been a laugh. You are a strange species, Admiral Park Jisoo. We are a surviving species. There's nothing stranger than that. Eternal Dawn departed the Council station, surrounded by its escort of impossible ships. Dr. Kim Yuna watched from the research deck as the stars stretched into lines. Carrying them home, Captain Lee Minho found her there an hour later, thinking about what comes next. Yuna nodded. The The Council is afraid of us now. But fear fades. They'll study dark matter. They'll try to develop their own version of our technology. The advantage we have won't last forever. Does it need to? No, Una smiled. It just needed to last long enough for them to learn to respect us. Long enough for us to prove we deserve to exist. The next generation will face different challenges. But at least there will be a next generation. Minho looked out at the passing stars. Somewhere out there, human colonies were waiting for news. Families were hoping their loved ones would return. Children were dreaming of stars they might one day visit. 300 years ago, we were terrified of the night. We built fires to keep the darkness away. We huddled together in caves, afraid of what we couldn't see. He shook his head slowly. Now we travel through dimensions made of darkness. We've become the thing that hides in the shadows. We've always been that thing, Una said softly. We just forgot for a while. The elder races reminded us what we really are. The dark matter fleet slipped back into its hidden dimension, vanishing from sensors across the galaxy. 27 ships, 2,700 humans. Fading into the spaces between spaces like they had never existed. The Council of Stars watched them go and said nothing. For the first time in 40,000 years, silence fell across the galactic powers. Not the silence of dominance. Not the silence of suppression. The silence of respect. And in the darkness between stars, where matter that could not be seen held galaxies together, humanity made its home, watching, waiting, ready to emerge whenever the universe needed reminding that the small and overlooked could become something extraordinary. The dark was no longer empty. Humanity had filled it.